Welcome to the Art of Selling. We're going to get started with our second part, turning questions into results. This is where you ask questions and get from point A to point B. It's much like playing pool. Now here's the fun part about that. You never play pool and shoot the cue ball until you've set that cue ball up for the second shot. That's kind of what we do here. So let's start by looking at all the different types of questions that we can ask. The first one is qualifying questions. Now this is important because we want to find out their motivation. We then go to open-ended questions that don't allow a yes or a no type answer. It gets them to open up and start talking with us. Then we go to modified questions. We tag those questions, summarize, and then use close-ended questions to close up the sale. Now you've probably heard that questions are all about control, and I believe that he who asks the questions control the conversation. The interesting part though, to me, questions are about the people that you're serving, and it's all about service. It's about coming from contribution and helping them. And how can you contribute or help them unless you know about them? That you know their problems, you know their dreams, you know their aspirations, and you know their goals. Well, you can only find that out by asking questions. If you always talk about yourself, you'll never find out how you can help them. Now, I want you to be certain and promise me that you will always ask the tough questions. These are the ones that people avoid. It really separates the men from the boys, so to speak. It's kind of fun because when you're asking the tough questions, you can go in and get those commissions that you deserve. Let's watch Sean as he asks some tough questions.
All right, now I noticed on the new buyer survey that you guys had filled out before we met, thank you for doing that by the way, that you guys have a home that you need to sell before you can purchase your next property. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's in the Heights. That's going to sell right away. I'd rather just go out there and, see as many locations as I possibly can. I really have no worries about selling that property.
Gotcha. Well, let me qualify this just a bit. Can you, in fact, consummate the purchase on the home that you're looking to buy without selling that property? Meaning, do you feel comfortable with 2 house payments?
Well, no.
Right. Well, let me explain the path that we're heading down. It's more of a lose-lose type situation where we want a win-win situation, right?
Right.
Okay, so let me tell you what happens, and I have people that have this situation come up all the time. See, if I took you out today and we found that perfect home, that would probably be the worst thing that we could do right now, because chances are, because we have to make that offer contingent upon you selling your other home, that you might have to pay just a little bit more than you would if you were non-contingent. Would you agree? Just to get the seller to accept the offer.
Right.
Because you're not a ready, willing, and able buyer right now. So you have to pay just a little bit more when you purchase. Now then, when you go to list your property for sale, you're so motivated to get this other property that you list it below fair market value. In essence, selling for too little. So you pay too much when you buy, and you sell for too little when you sell. Can you see how that's kind of a lose-lose situation?
All right. We want to get the most money for our house.
Exactly. And when time pressure comes into play, then you start doing things that are out of character for you, and you end up losing in the negotiation. The person under time pressure loses. Does that make sense? So I'll tell you what let's do. Let's simply set an appointment for me to come over to your property and list your home for sale right now. Now you can sit back and you can relax because you're under no time pressure. You can hold out for full asking price if you'd like to. In essence, selling for as much as you possibly can. Once that contract comes in on your home, we make that contract contingent upon you finding a replacement property within, say, 2 to 3 weeks. Then it's my job as your buyer's representative to go in and beat up the seller on the listing price, because now you're non-contingent and I have more leverage in the transaction. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of a win-win. You sell for what you need to sell for under no time pressure, and then when you go to buy, you get the very best deal you possibly can. Does that make sense?
So we just need more time in this whole equation, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, what we need to do is really just slow down on the looking process, because I'll tell you, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars if we don't. And we don't want that, do we?
No.
Okay, so when is the best time for me to come over and list your property for sale? Is it weekdays, weekends, or in the next 15 minutes?
Well, since you put it that way.
You know, this is something that buyer specialists face every single day. Somebody wants to get in your car and have you go around and show them some houses. Well, you want to help them out, so you put them in your car, waste your time, waste your gas, and who knows if they'll ever sell their home. More importantly, you're setting yourself up for failure, because what if you find that perfect house that they want and the sellers won't take a contingency? Then there you are, waiting for their house to sell, and you're going to have to go out and find another house just like that one if it's not available when they're ready to buy. So handle those tough questions right up front and make certain that you're not wasting your time, and more importantly, that you're not setting those clients up that you absolutely love for failure or disappointment.
Well, let me qualify this just a bit. Can you, in fact, consummate the purchase on the home that you're looking to buy without selling that property? Meaning, do you feel comfortable with 2 house payments?
You know, we're going to start out with our path from where we are to where we want to be, which is the close. And we're going to start with qualifying questions, which enable us to learn more about our clients. Now, we ask things like, do you live in the area? Very simple questions at first. One thing, though, I want you to promise me is that you will never ask them, how many children do you have? Or, do you have children? Now, the reason is, what if they couldn't have children? What if they had just lost a child? You're bringing up emotions that are going places you don't want to go. Ask this way, how many are in your family? And if they say 4, then you say, oh, you have 2 children. Let's watch Sean and Alicia as they demonstrate for us qualifying questions, getting to know their buyer and seller.
Chris, Kelly, thank you for taking the time to come in and meet with me today. I sincerely appreciate your investment of time. Tell me, how can I be of assistance to you?
Well, we're moving from the city. We'd like to move into a more suburban area. We have a 5-year-old, and we have another one on the way that we just found out about.
Fantastic, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fun. So tell me, what do you guys do for work?
I'm an illustrator.
And I'm a novelist, a budding novelist, but I do a lot of writing, and that's actually how we met.
All right, good for you. So illustrator, tell me about that. It sounds fascinating.
Well, it's a background with drawing mostly, but moved up to painting and acrylic.
Well, that's
But I do
really
a little
neat.
both, yeah.
Fantastic, good for you. And tell me about you, Kelly. What is it, you're a novelist?
Mm-hmm. Well, I started with writing children's books, and like I said, that's how we met, worked on a book together. But I'm working on a novel right now about, a woman growing up in small-town America.
Oh my gosh, really?
She wants to do
How
some
funny.
research, and that's going to influence
Yeah.
our decision about where we live, yeah.
So Michael and Tamara, tell me about what brought about this move.
I was offered a job in Denver with the software company that I work for, so they gave us
3 months.
3 months.
What brought about that change with your job?
Oh, he does such a good job. They
Yeah,
recognize
they-
So was it a promotion?
It was a promotion, yeah.
Fantastic. And how long have you been here in your current home now?
4, 5 years.
Yeah, about
Time
5
flies.
years. About 5 years, yeah.
Okay. And what is your goal in terms of a timeline in order to get to Denver? Tell me a little bit about that, what your timeline looks like.
2.5 months. If we can get the house sold, signed, closing, and everything in 2.5
Yeah,
months,
about 2.5.
that would be really good.
Did you notice that Sean built rapport while he was pre-qualifying? And then, of course, Alicia, she found out the seller's motivation, which is a huge part of the selling process.
So tell me, what do you guys do for work?
And how long have you been here in your current home now?
Okay, now our next technique is open-ended questions. This is where we make the clients actually think about answering. They cannot answer with an instant yes or no. It's like, tell me about. What are you feeling? Describe for me. And so it goes that our clients open up to us, they start trusting us, we start listening intently, and oh, don't forget to take notes. We then automatically go into modified questions. This is where the clients answer more directly about their wants and their needs. For example, how, what, when, where, and why. Much like a newspaper article, we're getting all that information together. So let's watch Sean with the buyer and Alicia with the seller on how they use these 2 techniques together.
All right, now tell me about the home that you'll buy.
Well, we wanted to have a big home, at least 3 bedrooms, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And we wanted to be able to have a large yard. So we'd like to have a dog, place for the kids to run around, room for the swing set, that sort of thing. I'd like to have a neighborhood that's a little bit more established so that there's, lots of trees and things like that. It has a lot of curb appeal.
Okay. All right, very good. Just a couple of clarifying questions then. You mentioned a large yard. What does that mean to you?
Well, I envision, I grew up on a farm, so I'm used to large spaces, and I would kind of like to have a yard that's large enough to have a garden, maybe a small vegetable patch, room for a large dog, like a German Shepherd or something, and I envision it maybe the size of 50 feet by 50 feet, around about that kind of size.
Okay, so not acreage properties or anything like that, correct?
No, nothing too large.
All right, very good. Now, you mentioned location and established area. Established meaning mature landscaping, things of that nature. Is that kind of what your thoughts are? So you're looking mainly older construction, is that right?
Yes.
Well, that would be nice.
You like older homes versus newer? All right, very good. What does that mean to you? I can sense when I look at your faces and you smile like that, there's something that means to you. What specifically are you trying to capture there?
Style of living.
Yeah.
And the old, the sense of like small town America, if that still exists anywhere.
Tradition, I guess,
Okay, so Michael and Tamara, tell me a little bit about some of your anxieties that you're having with this move. And have you thought about it really?
Gosh.
I mean, to that degree.
The kids would be one. Also, just making sure that, I guess,
We get the right amount of money for the house. you
Yeah.
know?
When would you like to sell your home?
Quickly, actually. Yeah.
Quickly.
What is quickly?
Oh, yeah, that would be good. 2 months?
2 months
and
at the
a half?
most. Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2 months.
Okay, and why would you have to be in a 2-month time period?
We're transferring up to Denver, and
Yep. We want to have some time to set up there before I
Right.
have to start my new job.
You know, that's going to help us with our buyers and sellers. Did you notice what Sean did? He literally asked an open-ended question, tell me about, and then he just kept hammering and hammering with modified questions. And then, of course, we have Alicia, and she started in with open-ended questions, asking about their feelings, and then ended up with a modified question. Now, the good part about Alicia with the feelings is to remember, logic makes them think, and emotion makes them act.
All right, now tell me about the home that you'll buy.
So Michael and Tamara, tell me a little bit about some of your anxieties that you're having with this move.
What specifically are you trying to capture there?
Why would you have to be in a 2-month time period?
So you're looking mainly older construction, is that right?
Now, the next question we have on our path to success is called a tagline question. This makes the client explain their answers. As an example, what does blank mean to you? Now, that blank is whatever they're talking about. For example, what if they talk about a large yard? What does a large yard mean? You may think that you know. It may be 100 by 100, or it may be 5 acres. Who knows? If you ask 15 people, I bet you get 15 different answers. So what does a large yard mean to you? Let's watch Sean and Linda as they talk to their buyers and sellers with the tagline question.
We're looking for something that's quiet.
Okay, talk to me about that a little bit further. Tell me, what does quiet neighborhood, what does that mean to you guys?
Well, currently we live near the university, so a lot of parties and things like that, and it's disruptive for our work schedules and sleep schedules. So.
I see. Okay, very good. So maybe something that even backs onto a park or some open space might be a little bit better for you. Would you agree with that?
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, especially if the park has a curfew.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The other thing that you said was important to you was not having any problems, Tamara, I believe is the way you worded it in the transaction. What does not having any problems in the transaction mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is, once we find a buyer, not having to haggle over the price a lot, and, once we set a closing date, it happens. Just everything running smoothly. Is that specific enough, or?
So basically, it sounds like you're describing from the time it goes into the contract to the time it closes.
Yes.
That part going smoothly.
Right.
Okay.
Having the inspections ironed out, that would be a big help too.
Okay. And explain to me what you mean have the inspections ironed out.
Well, have them in and out, and have any alterations or repairs, or
Right.
We had that insect damage before.
Right. Maybe, I know there's some required by law, some inspections, but then other ones can be requested by the buyer. And just to make sure that we know which ones those are, so that we get them all done in time, or have them do them whichever way it works.
Okay.
Did you notice how Sean just kept digging and digging and digging and getting more specific so he knew exactly what they wanted and what they were thinking? And then Linda went right from a modified question into a tag question, which is a very powerful technique.
Talk to me about that a little bit further. Tell me, what does quiet neighborhood, what does that mean to you guys?
What does not having any of the problems in the transaction mean to you?
Now we're going to talk about summary statements. These are what actually convey to the clients that you have truly been listening to them. More importantly, that you understand what they're saying. There's a statement out there that states, in a conversation, if someone is truly understood instead of interpreted, it is such a powerful conversation that you could charge admission to it. So let's watch Dan, Alicia, and Linda as they show us what a summary statement is all about.
Well, Dan, I know one thing that's really important to us is a big backyard.
Okay.
And nicely landscaped, because I like to garden, and we have a dog. He needs a big backyard.
He needs space to run around. The kids need space to run around.
Right, and our son plays ball, and so they practice out in the backyard.
Okay, so as I understand what you just said, a backyard is important to you because you enjoy the landscape, working, gardening. Gardening, by the way, are you talking about actual garden, growing tomatoes and cucumbers and that type of stuff, or
We'll
just
have
the
to see what grows here, but I want nice landscaping, but I want area where I can do gardening, also plant things.
Okay, so having a nice sized yard for the dog to run, but at the same time, going out there and throwing the ball with your kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so perfect.
So Michael and Tamara, why do you want to sell your home?
Well, I just got a job promotion in Denver, and I need to move up there and be up there in about 3 months.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that you need to move within 3 months because of a job promotion.
Right, right. And we don't want to have 2 mortgages, so
Okay.
we definitely need to have that done within the 3-month period.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to sell your home and relocate within that 3 months.
Right.
Well, Linda, we just want to make sure that this is a smooth transaction for the children, that there isn't a lot of, delay in between.
Okay. So what I hear you saying, Tamara, is that for the children, you want them to be inconvenienced as little as possible from the time we put the house on the market until the time we get them moved. Is that what I hear you saying?
Exactly what I'm saying.
We'd like for them to be able to start school on schedule.
So what I hear you saying is that them getting to Denver and starting to school in Denver is very important to you. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Correct.
You know, Dan listens and summarizes all of their points to show that he's been a great listener. Also, we have Alicia and Linda went from summary to close-ended questions. Close-ended questions are literally telling them what you heard and what they want. So what it is that you're most interested in is whatever it is, and then they'll say yes or no. And this is the first time they've been able to say that and to clarify specifically that you listened and you know exactly what they want.
Okay, so as I understand what you just said, a backyard is important to you for the dog to run, but at the same time, going out there and throwing the ball with your kids.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that you need to move within 3 months because of a job promotion.
So what I hear you saying is that them getting to Denver and starting to school in Denver is very important to you. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Thank you so much for joining us for part 2 of The Art of Selling, and I want to invite you to part 3, which is the most exciting part because after all, it's the close where you want to be.